Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome, dear devotees. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter number 1. The title of the chapter is The First Step in God Realization. Our today's discussion will start from text number 15. Before we start the discussion, we had the homework of 10 offenses towards the chanting of the holy name. We saw the importance of the chanting, constant glorification of the Lord, and there are some offenses towards that. If someone commits the offense and still continues to chant, then they will not get the ultimate success. I hope everyone did the homework. I saw some of the votes in the group. If you haven't done it, please read all the 10 offenses. In one of the 10 offenses, Satish Prabhu, you had some question. I didn't get a chance to go through what question was. If you want to say for benefit of everyone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, everyone. Prabhuji, the question I had was offense number 9. It's saying that it is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name of the Lord to the faithless.
Mm-hmm.
So my question, and maybe for you to provide some context around it, is we see the value of educating ourselves, and having bhakti in our lives. So we see a void in today's world.
Yeah.
And I can see the transformation you can see so many successful cases of people who have come from atheistic backgrounds and they become Krishna devotees, and you can see how it's transformed their lives. And I'm just wondering, why would that be an offense when we're trying to maybe have other people be educated about Krishna consciousness, and now that becomes an offense. So how is that an offense when we're trying to help people see a different side of life? So that's the reason why I was just a little bit trying to understand why is that an offense, Prabhuji. So yeah.
Excellent question. Very nice, Satish Prabhu. It is a duty of a devotee to preach this message of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to others. But here it is said, if someone is preaching the message or the glorification of the holy name, then it will be an offense. We see it seems to be a contradiction that we have to preach to the faithless or the atheist person, but here it is considered as an offense. So thank you. And even we see in Srila Prabhupada's life also, he was in Vrindavan in the old age. He went to America, where people had no knowledge about Krishna. Where I remember still Prabhupada's one lecture is there. He was giving a talk in America about Krishna consciousness, speaking Bhagavad Gita. So many people were sitting in the hall. And Prabhupada said, has anyone seen photo of Krishna or an image? No one raised hand. Imagine what kind of people Prabhupada was preaching to. And we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita pastime as well, Jagai and Madai. Nityanand Prabhu goes to Jagai and Madai and says, Bolo Krishna, just say, chant the holy names. And in his mind, that if Jagai and Madai, those people, if they become devotees, then the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will increase. How merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, the whole world will know. And that was in the mood of Nityanand Prabhu. So we see even our pranam mantra, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine, Gaurvani, the glories of Chaitanya Gaurvani, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine, Paschata Desha Tarine. So we see what is the difference here. How do we understand? The difference is if a person is envious and non-receptive, we stay away from them. And we can easily figure that out. A person has little bit of faith. What happens in Bhakti Vriksha or our friend or a colleague or a family member, when we speak something about Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or anything related to devotion, there are some people who are receptive. They will listen. Oh yes, they are eager to know more, or at least even if they don't follow, they are listening. So those people must be preached. But the other ones who are envious and who tries to find fault and who tries to argue, we must step back. And why is that? Because two reasons. The first reason is, if we tell something about Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and the person responds that God doesn't exist in an argumentative way, in a faithless way, that God doesn't exist, then he is denying the existence of Krishna. Why he is denying the existence of Krishna? Because we said Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for us, saying that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead gives him the chance to say bad about Supreme Lord. So, and if that person says bad, God doesn't exist, and why God is doing bad things, there is so much suffering in this world. If the person is arguing, or if the person is responding to understand the situation, yes, we go and talk. But if the person is arguing and he doesn't want to listen, we will find out that kind of people. उनको सुनना ही नहीं है, बस argument करते रहना है. Faithless, there is no faith in the heart. Then we don't speak, because of us, our attempt, he is defaming Krishna. He is talking bad about devotees. He is talking bad about the Supreme Lord. तो उसको that person is getting lowering his standards. Instead of जहां पे भी है कि भगवान का बुरा करता है, भक्त का बुरा करता है, then that person is going down again. So that's why we have to step back, because we don't, जहां पे है वहां पे ठीक है, we don't want to even lower them. For them, secretly, how can we preach? कभी भोगा prasad, temple prasad, we just take and give him, the nice pakoda, nice sweet rasgulla, you can have some, without saying anything. Prasadam generally everyone likes, or a nice music or a kirtan, generally everyone likes. So for them, instead of preaching the glories by speaking about it, secretly we can do it. Some people do Harinam as well. So that, and the second reason why it is mentioned is, why to waste our energy, our human life energy is very important. Why to waste our words and energy for someone who is against this whole principle, who is faithless? Why not utilize our energy to the devotees who are actually receptive, who will understand, and who are eager to know, and then they will progress as well. And for this two reason, it is said, to instruct a faithless person, and that we can find it out when we go out in Bhakti Vriksha, book distribution, coming to temple, when we see even 10 seconds, I'm a businessman, a customer comes in the store, in 5 seconds, I know whether they are going to spend or not. पता चल जाता है, experience से आता है. After experience, you know that they are just a window shopper, or they are just coming to look, or they are actually interested in buying. In the same way, in Bhakti as well, when we go out and about to talk about Krishna to others, give Krishna consciousness to others, we know whether that person is receptive, eager to learn more, inquisitive, or that person is not going to listen. To that person, we leave that. Slowly, by the mercy of some devotees, that person might be elevated. But why to waste our energy, and why to bring him down? And that's why it is said, to instruct a faithless person is a big offense towards the holy name of Krishna. Is that okay, Sadish Prabhu?
That's brilliant. Thank you, Prabhuji. Appreciate your efforts on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are starting from text number 15. I will recite Sanskrit, and Varinder Prabhu, you can do English translation for me. Antakale tu purusha agate gata sadvasaha chindayad sanga sastrena spriham dehe nuche ye chatam.
Hare Krishna. Translation. At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. But one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it, and all desires thereof. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Sukadeva Goswami is continuing to speak to Parikshit Maharaj. We saw that how Parikshit Maharaj asked a few questions to Sukadeva Goswami, what one should not do. That's how it begins. The second canto, first chapter, what one should avoid. Then the second last question was what one should hear, chant, remember, and worship. So Sukadeva Goswami responded to Parikshit Maharaj about the glories of the holy name, and they must chant. And then we saw yesterday that how what was the title of yesterday? Who remembers? Instead of me speaking, Khatwanga Maharaj story Sukadeva Goswami mentioned, and we discussed what was the title of this section, 12, 13, and 14. Who remembers? What was the theme going on in that?
Discusses the quality of life, Prabhuji.
Excellent. Quality of life matters, not quantity. So Parikshit Maharaj may think आप भक्ति योगा के बारे में बता रहे हो, लेकिन you are talking about Shravanam, Kirtanam. I only have 7 days in life. Because before that, from text number 2 to 11, uh, so Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning about the glories of the holy name. And then Parikshit Maharaj may think like that. So he's telling that quality of life matters. Even one moment is enough. Katunga Maharaj story he describes. And now, so that was what one should chant, remember, here and worship. The question before that was, what is the duty of a dying man? See now, Sukadeva Goswami is answering here. At the last stage of one's life, what is the duty of a dying man? At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. But one must cut off all attachment. Chindayad, chindayad. Asanga sastrina. Asanga means detachment. Very beautiful. Antakale tu purusa. Antakale, that means the last moment of one's life. Agate gata sadvasaha. That means without fear of death. One should be bold enough not to fearful of death, and then cut off all the attachment. What type of attachment? Material bodily attachment and all the desires linked to the body. One must cut off. This is Sukadeva Goswami is answering to Parikshit Maharaj. Here, what is happening? Generally, हम देखते हैं दुनिया में लोग people plan their life in such a way that they are going to live forever. Such a simple thing that everyone is temporary here in this world. People don't plan. And all the buying a house, investment properties, or the relationships, and all the arrangements people make in this world is like they are going to live forever, accumulating wealth, uh, working on the relationships, family, and investments portfolio and everything, as if सब कुछ हमेशा के लिए रहने वाला है. And the person itself, himself or herself, is going to stay forever. And that's how people arrange their life and work for the life. But in reality, everything is temporary. इतना बड़ा घर, expensive घर, if someone is buying, but person has to give up that one day. Don't you all think that people, I have observed at least, people at the age of 50, 60-year-old, they go and buy a big house as if kitne din rehne wale. And many people, yesterday only, I was speaking with someone, after 50, person is taking more than $2 million loan to buy a big house just because someone else in the family has bought a bigger house in the same area and they also want to go with the flow. क्यों? How long they will be? 60 के बाद अभी कितना रहने वाले हैं? इतना बड़ा घर, इतना बड़ा loan, and that is only loan, and house is not a problem. To pay off that loan, for the mortgage, for the installments, the financial stress, and that causes the friction in the relationship, sleepless nights, working extra hours and hours, sometimes late hours. The health is getting affected, and the ultimate goal of life, bhakti karna, सब कुछ side में. Have you all experienced or no? I want someone to say, or is it only my experience that people plan their life in such a way that they are going to be here permanently, but very few people think that they are here temporary.
Prabhuji, can I say something?
Yes.
आश्चर्यवत जो श्लोक है ना, कि आश्चर्य की बात ये है कि हम we might not even do it for ourselves, but to show off. Mostly ये हो रहा है कि show off में we are, कि भाई उसने किया तो हमको भी करना है. And at the end, we are actually becoming servants to those homes, right?
Yes.
And we are not enjoying it that much.
Correct. 100% correct. We become victim of this show-off mentality.
Yeah.
Instead of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we become International Society for Log Consciousness. इनको दिखाना है, सोसाइटी में रहना है, कुछ स्टेटस मेंटेन करना है. सब लोग गाड़ी नया इलेक्ट्रिक बाय करते हैं, हमें भी इलेक्ट्रिक गाड़ी बाय करना पड़ेगा. सब लोग बड़े घर में रहते हैं, हमें भी करना पड़ता है. Anyone else?
प्रभु जी, सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग?
True. So Prabhupada writes, this is the foolish mentality in the purport कि कोई ये सोचता नहीं है कि you are going to be here temporary. The whole world is temporary. Everything else is temporary. And if a person is thinking and planning in such a way that he is going to be here permanent, that is a foolish mentality. If you read the purport or if you listen to the recording later, Prabhupada writes 7 times in the purport, very long purport, 2 pages, full 2 pages, and Prabhupada writes 7 times the word foolish. First line he starts with, the foolishness of gross materialism is that people think of making a permanent settlement in this world. कौन permanent है इधर? But this is a foolishness. Foolish people make permanent plans here at the temporary place. Foolish people do not have the knowledge of soul. उनको आत्मा के बारे में पता ही नहीं कि ये बॉडी तो जाने वाला है और आत्मा के लिए काम करने का उनके पास टाइम ही नहीं है, बॉडी के लिए ही काम करते हैं. Foolish people give more importance to the present temporary life and don't think about the next life. So many lines Prabhupada mentions in the purport, very beautiful. And if the person is attached like that, working on like this in this world, thinking that he is permanent, his investments, his properties, his families, all the relationship, everything is permanent, how can that person be detached? How can that person become free from the fear of death? सब कुछ उसको चाहिए and he is thinking that he is permanent, then fear of death से बचेगा कैसे? So how can one cut off all the material desires he has? So that's why here Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning, one must असंग शस्त्र न, शस्त्र होता है, शस्त्र को जैसे काटना होता है, असंग शस्त्र न छिंदयत, काट दो. कैसे काटना है? By the weapon of detachment. So beautiful. Chindayad asanga sastrena, by the weapon of detachment. Asanga, detachment. Sastrena, by the weapon. One must detach himself. When a person does that, the bodily relationships, he will be detached. The material desires, the person will be detached, and that's how a person can become free from the fear of death. The solution is given here. We have to develop. Prabhupada writes in the purport, instead of working for the body, instead of working for the family or the settlement in this world, thinking that we are permanent, one must develop a desire in working for Krishna's service. Instead of doing their own bodily service or family member service only in the family attachment, a person must be doing Krishna's service. To become desireless is not possible. Atma, the characteristics of soul is to have desires. Thinking, feeling and willing is the characteristic of soul. हम desireless नहीं बन सकते. As long as the soul exists, there are desires. So instead of becoming desireless, the solution is given here that we have desires to work for Krishna, do everything as a service for Krishna, and that's how we can develop this mood of detachment, and that's how we can be detached from all the material desires and become free from the fear of death. So this when we read the purport, we'll see to develop higher taste is recommended. कुछ छोड़ना नहीं है, सिर्फ higher taste develop करना है. Very simple example I can give you is, if a child is there, teenage boy, teenage girl is there, उसको पास iPhone 11 है, आप उसको बोलो iPhone 11 छोड़ दो, don't touch iPhone 11, don't touch iPhone 12, you just don't touch. Possible, it's very hard. Some good kids are there, it's possible. But if you don't tell, don't touch this iPhone 11 or 12, you can't do it because people are generally attached to the devices. But to the same boy, if you give iPhone 17 Pro, new one, brand new, and you give them the new phone, immediately वो iPhone 11 12 को बाजू में छोड़ देगा, फेंक देगा, and they will start installing the app and they will start using. They will not even, in 24 hours they will not even think about that iPhone 11 or 12, because the higher taste is developed, lower taste goes automatically. In the job also, कोई 110 के 120 के की जॉब कर रहा है, हम बोलते हैं कि जॉब छोड़ दो, आप आओ, just leave the job. No, people can't do that. But the next moment they get an offer of 180 के job, 110 के एक सेकंड में छोड़ देगा, because permanent role मिल रहा है, 180 के की जॉब मिल रही है, अच्छा पैकेज है, अच्छा सैलरी है, they will take it. So when the higher taste is developed, lower taste automatically goes away, and that is what the solution is given. How can we become detached? How can we become desireless, free from the desire, material desire? That we develop desire to serve Krishna. Higher taste is developed, and then lower taste will automatically go away. That is what nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada in this text number 15. Let's begin with text number 16, Nirvin Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण जी, धन्यवाद राम डिवोटीज, शिला प्रभात की जय। गृहात् प्रव्रजितो धीरः पुण्यतीर्थ जलाप्लुतः शुचौ विविक्त आसीनो विधिवत् कल्पितासने।
Hare Krishna, everyone. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai.
जय।
One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place duly sanctified. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you. So in the previous verse, it was mentioned about detachment. So detachment kaise lana hai? So the process is given in text number 16 now. One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bath regularly and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified. So from this verse, 16, 17, 18, 19, the Ashtanga Yoga process, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam. And then we will see 18, 19, mein Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, one should meditate on the lips as we will progress it. And that's why the first step in Ashtanga Yoga is to leave home, go to the sacred place, jungle में जाके रहना है. कर सकते हैं क्या? Okay, how many of us can do? And practically, if you also see, is it recommended by our sampradaya and by our acharyas? Prabhupada was living at the age of 70. He was in Vrindavan. What is he doing? He is going to New York City. He is going to America. He is traveling all around the world and preaching the glories of Krishna. And our maharajas and many brahmacharis, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, what they are doing? Going to Thailand, going to different places and preaching the glories of Krishna. So many devotees also think that, abhi 50 ho gaya, shastra mein bola hai, abhi jaake rehna hai. Yes, if the mood of that devotee is like this, it's okay. But we see that many our Vaishnava acharyas, Maharaj, Prabhupada disciples, and Prabhupada himself shows the mood that 50 ke baad jungle pe jaake meditate karna hai. That is one aspect of it. But 50 ke baad dedicate the life and serve Krishna, to spread the glories of Krishna. It is a completely different path, different way of looking at this situation. So here Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning that the first step is to leave home because of the Ashtanga Yoga process. All the other sages who have assembled in that assembly, instead of leaving home, practically, what we can do, that we have to understand here. The practical application learning point, हम कर क्या सकते हैं? आप 50 के बाद normally एक का one, you go to the one. It is generally said, and Prabhupada also writes, to prepare himself, one must get out of one's so-called home. Prabhupada writes the first line, and that's why this varnashram system is there. Varnashram system before very nicely organized. Brahmachari 25 साल तक पढ़ेगा, then Grihastha ashram, then Vanaprastha ashram, and then Sannyasa ashram. So slowly a person gets educated, trained how to live as a householder, then enters into the Grihastha ashram, nicely performs the duty, do the work, maintains the children, wife, and everything. Then Vanaprastha, after 50 to 75, goes, travels around to dhams and different yatras along with the wife. It does Vanaprastha, and then Sannyas ashram, that leaves the wife, and the wife is being looked after by the older son, and the person takes sannyas, and that is the way to become detached. It is mentioned here. But what we see here, practical learning point for us is we have to simplify our life, so that leaving the home may not be possible for us, but at least leaving the responsibilities of big commitments. बड़ा बड़ा घर दिखाने के लिए ले लिया, बड़ा लोन ले लिया, and then to fulfill that, husband is working, wife is working, and the child is in the child care. आते हैं, पता नहीं child क्या करता है. They both are fulfilling the home mortgage installments, and then affects everything. Child development may be affect karta hai, because they both are working extra hours. They don't know what the child is doing in the school, in the studies, what are they watching on the devices, kuch pata nahi. Emotional development of the child is also hampered if person takes big loans. So at least in the later stage of life, we have to focus on simplifying our life rather than making it more complicated. having another opportunity in job, is it going to increase my work or decrease? Am I able to focus more in the path of bhakti? Do I have enough time to read Bhagavad Gita? Am I able to join Bhagavatam class regularly? Can I do service once in a week at least in the temple? Can I go to Bhakti Vriksha regularly? Am I able to associate with devotees? So all these questions we have to ask, and that will help us to slowly detach. Otherwise, till the last breath, just Prabhupada writes in this previous purport or this purport also, politicians, till the last breath of one's life, people are attached to their positions and pride and fame, and they don't live. But we have to practice. As a devotee, we have to practice self-control. Little bit austerity. चलो थोड़ा छोटा घर है, थोड़ा दूर है, ठीक है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Little bit of austerity, little bit of inconvenience, people develop. Self खुद ले लेते हैं. अच्छा है, ठीक है, बड़ा घर है, नई गाड़ी है, ठीक है, लेकिन थोड़ा छोटे से काम चलता है. And if we have less financial commitments, what will that give us is peace of mind so that we can focus in bhakti. जब भी समय मिलेगा हम गीता पढ़ सकते हैं, भक्तों का संग कर सकते हैं, यूट्यूब में कोई अच्छे भागवत कथाकार, प्रभुपाद डिसाइपल्स, महाराज का लेक्चर सुन सकते हैं, एंड देन वी आर एबल टू slowly progress in the path of bhakti. So very important learning point from this verse is we have to simplify our life. And mainly it's the house and car and the job. Those three things, takes our most of the time, commitments. But we have to understand our goal. Is we are here for a short time. Prabhupada batate hai, this is the foolish mentality. If we think we are going to be here permanently. कितना चाहिए लाइफ में, अभी जितने साल बाकी है, and we don't have to run away from our responsibilities, but we have to be aware that otherwise if you run around there is no end to it. उसका तो कोई end ही नहीं है, जितना भी है उतना कम है. So we have to be aware what our needs are, what our financial status is, and we are here for a short time. And I can remember once, अभी मुझे just Sunday, one Mataji came and his son was not well. And hospital में गए, son was unconscious and कुछ हुआ, and doctor ने बताया कि there is 50-50 chance. Wow, imagine what a mother would go through when the doctor says there is 50-50 chance the son would survive. वो माता जी मुझे बोल रही थी संडे मंदिर में कि मेरा इतना प्रॉपर्टीज, $1 million, ये गाड़ी, ये सब कुछ, मैं सोच रही थी कि everything is worthless, not even a single cent, सब कुछ waste है. When मेरा बच्चा, when doctor said that, and that's why, the only thing that will help us is this bhakti. Krishna consciousness will help us. Everything else, one day, सब कुछ छोड़ के जाना है. कुछ काम में नहीं आएगा. Everything will be here. It will be useless. One day, only holy name of Krishna will help us to go to the next destination. Another learning point comes out from this one. If we see the translation, one must bathe regularly, sit down in a sanctified place. That shows us the importance of cleanliness. Very important. External cleanness, as a devotee, taking bath regularly, keeping all suchi, in Sanskrit we say, or Hindi we say suchi rakhne ka jagah, wearing fresh clothes, sanctified place, have chanting. Where we live in our house, we make that holy place where the pictures of Lord Shri Krishna, Radha Rani, Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Nitai are there. We have our altar set up at home. We have to have, as a temple, recommended for all the devotees to have a temple at home, altar set up where we can do our puja every morning. And then, so external cleanliness point also comes out from this verse. Let's do 17 and 18 together, and then we'll finish for today. Radhika Mataji, you can do 17, and you choose someone can do, and then 18, Krishna Prabhu, you can do, and Rohit Prabhu can do the translation.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranam. Maybe Padma Mataji can read the translation. अभ्यासेन मनसा शुद्धं त्रिवृद् ब्रह्मक्षरं परं मनो यच्छेज्जिता श्वासो ब्रह्म बीजम् अविस्मरन्. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. After sitting in the above manner, make the mind remember the three transcendental letters A, O, and and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seed. Omkar. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And text 18.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Niyached vishayebhyokshan manasa buddhi saratihi mana karma bhirakshiptam subharte dharayedhiya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So in text number 16, we saw the three limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, and Asan. We saw that one should leave home and bathe regularly, that is a Niyam. And Asana, one should sit down in a secluded place, in a sanctified place, that was mentioned. And 17, 18, the next three limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, which is Pranayam, Pratyahar, and Dharana, which is remembering the Omkar mantra and withdrawing the mind, that means Pratyahar. Pranayam is Omkar mantra, chanting, breathing, which is mentioned here, withdrawing the mind, and Dharana, fixing the mind with intelligence. So, Sukadeva Goswami is continuing that how one can detach. Kaise karna hai? Controlling mind is very essential. In previous verse, external cleanliness, taking bath regularly, sitting in a sanctified place, making that place very purified is external cleanliness is mentioned. Now, going to the next step, usme kya bata rahe hain? The controlling of mind, internal cleanliness is also very important. The mind is, the desire cannot be stopped. Mind can't be controlled. So what can be done is to develop, instead of trying to make the mind desireless, it is said, we have to dovetail. We have to dovetail in Krishna consciousness. It can be dovetailed by एक्सटर्नल क्लीनलीनेस एंड इंटरनल क्लीनलीनेस दोनों चीज होगा. एक्सटर्नल हमने प्रीवियसली देखा, इंटरनल क्लीनलीनेस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. माइंड कैसे फ्री रखेंगे, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ थॉट्स वी आर हैविंग internally. Our mind can take us in a wild ride. क्या क्या सोचता है, कहाँ कहाँ पहुंचता है, हमें ही पता है. What kind of company we keep, हम कैसे लोगों के साथ समय बिताते हैं, कैसे बातें करते हैं, what kind of topics we discuss, and that all things affects the functioning of the mind. People generally, outside materialistic people, they generally engage in all sort of nonsense, and that's why the mind is always agitated. But at least in devotees life, practical learning point for us, about focusing on controlling the mind. We should not engage in frivolous prajalpa talk, non जिसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. ऐसी बातों में हमारा समय बर्बाद करने का जरूरत ही नहीं है. No need to have prajalpa talk, because not even outsiders, within devotees also, prajalpa must be avoided. Useless talks, जो बातें हमको भगवान के नजदीक ले नहीं जाने वाली, भक्ति में यूजफुल नहीं है, ऐसी बातें करने का मतलब ही क्या है? Because that will create impression. The real fight जो होता है ना, कुरुक्षेत्र में तो जो फाइट हुआ था भगवत गीता का पता है, बट अपने दिमाग में रियल फाइट हो रहा है, इनसाइड विद इन आवर माइंड, गुड माइंड बैड माइंड. इट्स जस्ट कभी माइंड इज सेइंग आज भक्ति वृक्षा स्किप कर देता हूँ, आज भक्ति वृक्षा जाता हूँ, द थॉट्स विल स्टार्ट कमिंग. Today morning I will chant. No. Today afternoon I will chant. Morning I will sleep. The real fight is going on inside. I hope some of you have experienced the wild ride of the mind. Because sometimes कुछ भी होता नहीं है, लेकिन माइंड ऐसा ऐसा सोच लेता है. 10 ऐसा सोचना है, कहाँ कहाँ दूर दूर तक सोचते ले जाएगा दिमाग अपने को. और in reality nothing is there, but the mind takes us for a ride. So we have to be very very careful about controlling the mind, in the sense हमारा कैसी बातें करते हैं, कैसे लोगों के संग में रहते हैं, क्या देखते हैं, even the eyes, scrolling. If we sometimes हमें लगता है ना कि हो गए, चलो हम तो भक्त बन गए, हम 16 राउंड करते हैं, मंदिर जाते हैं, सेवा करते हैं, रोज भागवतम पढ़ते हैं, गीता सुनते हैं, we are devotees, we think. But dear devotees, we have a long way to go. भक्ति, जो रियल भक्ति, शुद्ध भक्ति है, वो अभी बाकी है, अभी दिल्ली दूर है. We still have to work hard on it. We can't take it casually कि हो गया बस 16 round हो गया. Are we chanting all 16 rounds in Brahma Muhurta? Are we able to do that? Are we able to stop scrolling on YouTube or social media, just nonsense videos? Because क्या होता है devotees, when we, oh sorry, only 60 seconds left, when we scroll that, all the impressions goes in our mind. When we hear nonsense talks, everything goes through the ears, eyes. If we take not prasadam जो नहीं है वो खाते हैं, everything affects the mind. And that's why it's very important to take care of what we see. Scrolling नहीं करना है, time pass नहीं करना है, news देख कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, न्यूज देखो ना देखो, जो होने वाला है वो होगा. No need to spend time on news, no need to spend time of hearing, watching, scrolling and eating. No, control the mind, then only we will be able to focus in bhakti. Sorry, I'll stop here, only 45 seconds left. Anshul Prabhu, you raised a hand.
नहीं प्रभु जी, वो आपने क्लियर कर दिया ऑलरेडी बताते हुए. सो
Okay. Thank you. Maya, if the mind is telling you ना कि आज नहीं करते सुबह माला, आज भक्ति वृक्षा में नहीं जाते, आज भागवतम में रिकॉर्डिंग सुन लेंगे, चलो सुबह भक्तों के साथ में नहीं सुनेंगे, that means mind is taking you to the wild ride. वो भक्ति से आपको धीरे 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 कैजुअल बना देता है. But to keep ourselves positively engaged, हमेशा बिजी, खाली दिमाग शैतान का घर, ideal mind is devil's workshop, हमने सुना. And that's why we keep ourselves so busy. इसलिए तो मैं भक्तों को हमेशा भक्ति शास्त्री ज्वाइन कर लो, भक्ति वैभवा ज्वाइन कर लो. राधिका माता जी इज डूइंग भक्ति वैभवा, कृष्णा प्रभु, रॉबिन प्रभु, शिवा प्रभु, स्नेहा माता जी, सुशीला माता, सो मनी आर डूइंग भक्ति शास्त्री. भक्ति वृक्षा में जाना है, सेवा करना है, फेस्टिवल करना है. वी बिकम आवरसेल्व्स सो बिजी कि माइंड को ऐसा वाइल्ड राइड ले जाने में हमें मौका ही नहीं देंगे. And that is very important, to keep ourselves busy in devotion, chanting, hearing, services. Okay. Anyone wants to say anything? Maybe one more minute left. I don't know. Hope it's helpful, the discussion, practical application in practical life.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I understand that, we need to be busy in the devotion. But some of the material things are also important, Prabhu. When we are dealing with the material world, we need to know some of the bits.
100%.
We can't be just aloof from, every.
Yes.
It becomes very difficult then in that case.
Yes. So we have to be busy materially, but all the free time, जो भी फ्री टाइम है ना, उसमें स्पिरिचुअली बिजी कर देने का, मटेरियल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज करने का, फैमिली, फाइनेंस, एवरीथिंग नाइसली लुकिंग आफ्टर आवर ओन सेल्फ इज द हाईएस्ट प्रायोरिटी. बट जो भी फ्री टाइम है ना, वो फ्री टाइम में खाली नहीं बैठने का. फ्री टाइम must be either reading, hearing, discussing, bodhayanta parasparam, किसी के साथ बात कर लिया, कुछ भी नहीं तो भक्त के साथ एटलीस्ट बात कर लो फोन उठा के. But don't let the mind idle. So the free time after doing our material responsibilities, we have to keep busy. ठीक है?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Radhika Mataji? I don't know why it's not. Maybe Zoom gave us some bonus time. Radhika Mataji, I think you raised hand.
No,
I think it's giving us a bonus time today. Chalo, acha. No, all good. Okay. Thank you, dear devotees. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Pranam,
Hare Krishna,
Pranam,
everyone.
devotees. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Deepa.